Welcome back to our course on Excel 2013. In this section we're going to finish our review of the basics of worksheet formatting. We're first of all going to look at merging cells, then we're going to look at applying themes and styles to a worksheet. So let's start with merging cells. I've taken the expenses information from earlier on and I've added some headings. I haven't tidied the headings up at all yet, I've just left them pretty much as they are there. The top row is blank, but what I'd like to do is to put a title right along from A to F. So that's A1, cell A1 to cell F1. Now in order to do that, what I can do is to merge those 6 cells together. If I click in the first one, drag with the mouse and select along so that they're all selected, then on the Home tab in the Alignment group there is a button there which is Merge and Center. And what this causes to happen is the selected set of cells to be merged into a single cell and for the content to be centered. Now apart from that straightforward button itself, there's a little drop down next to it which gives us a number of other options. There's Merge and Center, Merge Across, merge the cells without worrying about alignment, and then unmerge cells. And what I'm going to do on this occasion is just to use Merge and Center. Now with that cell still selected, I can tell that it's selected because it's obviously got the selection rectangle around it. I can just start typing and I can say, and there we are, I've now merged that set of 6 cells into one. Now note that to unmerge cells it's pretty straightforward. If you look at this particular case, we've got cells A1 to F1 merged. When they're merged you would refer to them as A1, and if I click in A1 here you can see that the selection marked up here in the name box in the corner is A1. To unmerge the cells, all I need to do is to go back to that menu, and on that merge menu if I say unmerge cells, watch what happens. Unmerged cells obviously unmerges the cells. I've now got 6 separate cells again, but the contents that was centered in the merged big cell becomes the contents of A1, because in effect it always has been the content of A1 because the merged cell, the big cell, was A1. It was just a bigger A1. So let me undo the unmerge and go back to where we were, and this is now going to be the starting point for me to format this worksheet. So let's look at column widths first. The only column width that's likely to cause a problem really is column F. This is a column that indicates whether expenses are rechargeable or not, and it can only have 2 possible values in there, yes or no, but the heading recharge is quite a wide heading. So with column F selected, I'm going to go into the cells group on the Home tab and do auto fit column width. That'll sort out that. But where we only have yes and no, very short answers, they look a bit strange left aligned, so I'm also going to center align horizontally that column. The other column that I think might cause us a problem is the date column, because at the moment, although the width of it is absolutely right for the dates that are in it, I think they run into the name of the client there quite a bit, so I'm going to manually make that column a little bit wider. And the other thing, and this is more of a personal preference, I prefer the date columns to be center aligned myself when they're in short date format, so I'm going to say with column A, again center aligned. Now generally speaking the row heights look fine, so let me now concentrate on these headings. So let's start with this heading, this expenses Tobier heading here. That cell is selected, so on the Home tab if I go to the Styles group, select Cell Styles, then I can choose a style which, as you saw earlier on, will make this spreadsheet basically theme friendly, and it will make it straightforward to change the overall theme of the particular sheet. So let's make that a heading 1 style. Now to see the effect of the style, if I just click away from it, and you can see it's basically a white background with the selected font bold, a little bit bigger than the font in the other cells, and with that sort of blue underline. Now, to see the effect of that in terms of themes, if we go to the page layout tab, go to themes again, as we saw earlier, if I try each of the other themes, I'll see what effect that'll have on the title. So let's look at formatting some of the other parts of this worksheet. Let's go back to the Home tab again. Now I'm next going to look at these headings: date, client, category, description. Generally speaking, with these sort of second level headings, I tend to like them centered myself, and I'm trying to keep this fairly straightforward. So let me select all 6 of those headings, and I'm going to horizontally align them all in the center. So there they all are, center aligned. Now let's select them and let's apply a cell style. Now let's make these heading level 2, and so I'm going to go for that heading level. Again, click away and you can see the overall effect. Notice that because we made the font a little bit bigger and it's bold, column F now with the word recharge and the question mark is not quite wide enough. So sometimes what happens is you need to just do another little bit of auto fit to make something continue to work. So there's some headings. What I want to do now is I'm going to format some of the columns in different ways, and I'm going to start with the date column. Now I can warn you in advance that this won't look particularly nice, but I'm trying to demonstrate the technique. So I'm going to take the date column, in fact just the parts of the date column, the cells in the date column that have content in them at the moment, and then what I'm going to do is to hold the control key down and do the same on the category column. Now I've actually now got 2 different sets of cells. They are non-adjacent selections, but they're both selected. Now I'm going to go to cell styles, and on these I'm going to look at the themed cell styles. Now these give me 6 alternatives in terms of the groups of colors, and then with each of those colors, so you've got a sort of green there and a sort of yellow there and a sort of orangey red there, with each of these then you can choose the level, the depth level of the accented color. So in the case of this one, 20% accent 1, that's a light smattering of blue, 40% deeper, 60% deeper, and so on. And as you hover over them, you can see obviously you've got the live preview there. Let's go for this one. Let's try the 40% on that. And as you can see, if I click away to deselect, as you can see I've applied that cell style to both of those subsets of the columns. Now I appreciate that it doesn't look particularly attractive at the moment, but I'm really trying to show you what the techniques are. Now, as I said, this doesn't look particularly attractive. I'm about to make it look even less attractive. What I'm going to do now is to apply some direct formatting to these 2 columns. So I've selected the cells that currently have contents in those 2 columns, and we're not going to apply any formatting that is related to a theme. Now a good way of doing this is to use primarily the commands in the font group on the Home tab, and I can do things like, for example, change the font. So it's currently Calibri. I could use a different font altogether. Let's try something like Copper Plate Gothic. And the other thing I can do is I can easily make the font size bigger or smaller. There is of course the drop down there with all the sizes on it. You see a couple of little buttons to the right, one of which increases the font size in little increments and another one decreases. That's a pretty quick way of achieving the size that you want. If I wanted to change the color of the font, the color of the numbers and words in those columns, click on the font color drop down, and as with the fill that we saw earlier on, the colors for the font are divided into theme colors and standard colors. If you use a theme color, it will vary with the theme. If you use a standard color, it won't. So I'm going to choose this purple color here, and then for the fill I'm going to choose a non-theme, that is a standard color for the fill. I'm going to use that yellow color there. and then click away so that you can see the effect of all that. I appreciate it looks fairly horrible, but we're just trying to demonstrate how it all works. There I've done some direct formatting on those cells. Let's look at the effect of all of that. Now, in order for you to see the effect of all of that, I'm going to make column A quite a bit wider for the moment. You'll see why in just a moment. Then I'm going to go to the Page Layout tab and the Themes button, and I'm now going to hover over a succession of themes, and you're looking at the category column and the cost and recharge columns, fonts, font sizes, and so on in each of those. So let's go through the themes. Let's try the facet theme, the integral theme, ion. Now, it's true to say that all of the formatting on category changes, including font, colors, sizes, and so on. The cost and recharge columns, font sizes and so on, don't change, but sometimes the spacing changes because sizes have changed elsewhere in the sheet. So even though they are effectively totally independent in terms of the font used, the fill color and so on, they can still move around because of other things that are happening on the sheet depending on the selected theme. So there we are. I think you've seen in this section pretty much how to apply the formatting that you need. There's only one other outstanding topic on formatting that we need to cover now. There are some others later on, and the one that's outstanding is borders, and we're going to look at borders in the next section. So I'll see you then.